Rasulullah ﷺ specified his two neighbors in Jannah, Talha and Zubair, radiyallahu anhuma. Rasulullah ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, Talha wa Zubair jaraya fil Jannah. They are my neighbors in paradise. Those are my two neighbors. When Zubair radiyallahu anhu was a young man in Mecca and he heard that the Prophet ﷺ had been attacked, he ran to the Prophet ﷺ with his sword to defend the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ sees Zubair running towards him with his sword drawn, panting, ready to fight somebody. And Rasulullah ﷺ says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Ya Rasulullah, sami'tu annaka ukhidht." I heard that somebody hurt you. And Rasulullah ﷺ said, "And what were you going to do if that was the case?" And Zubair radiallahu anhu said, "I was going to strike him with this sword. I was ready to fight in your cause." Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu used to look back and he used to say, "Dhaka yawmu Talha." That was the day of Talha radiallahu ta'ala anhu, was the day of Uhud. Why? Because Talha radiallahu ta'ala anhu suffered over 70 wounds in the cause of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam that day. Talha radiallahu ta'ala anhu extended his hand when an arrow was shot towards the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and his hand was paralyzed. He didn't think to himself, if I catch an arrow, that's not gonna be pretty. He didn't think twice. He saw that the Prophet ﷺ was being harmed and he put his hand out there. And he went and he guarded the Prophet ﷺ when the people fled. And the Prophet ﷺ saw Talha radiallahu ta'ala anhu beat up, unconscious, wounded all over the place, just protecting him and defending him when others fled. And Rasulullah ﷺ looked at him in awe. SubhanAllah, look at the quality of his companions. He looked at him. And even in those moments where the Prophet ﷺ himself had to be carried, Rasulullah ﷺ, he says to the Sahaba, whoever wants to see a shaheed, a martyr that is still walking on the face of the earth, look at Talha ibn Ubaidillah. He's a living martyr, SubhanAllah, because of the effort that he put forth for the Prophet ﷺ that day. So when you hear Talha wa Zubair jaraya fil Jannah, that they are my neighbors in Jannah, there's a reason why they occupy that. Because those two men can say that they love the Prophet ﷺ. And if you want proof, here, look at all the wounds.